Good morning, I am Mica Villagen, and today we are going to witness different speakers that will tackle about the cultural influences on context, the educational setting. So without further ado, let's get started, and this is
Tech Talk.
Good morning. Once again, I am Mica Villagen, and before I formally open this discussion, I would like you to give a simple quotation that is widely connected in the whole discussion. By nature, all men are alike, but by education, it is widely different. It has been said that by nature, we humans are all the same, but by education, it will show the difference between individuals. It also shows here that the importance of education is not only shaping one's characters, but also one's culture. Now, let's move on to cultural diversity. But before we proceed, let me ask you a few questions. What language do you use? What religion do you practice? What occasions do you observe? What race do you identify with? What ethnicity do you belong to, and what culture do you have? Our culture is what molds us. It determines who we are and how we act. Culture is our way of being, more precisely the common language, the attitudes, standards, customs, ways of behaving, and tangible things or tangible items that are handed down from one generation to the next. So cultural diversity, what exactly it is, and what you can do to make sure that you, your friends, and your family are all sensitive to the diverse cultural backgrounds that people have. Cultural diversity is about understanding that society is made up of many diverse groups, each with its own set of interests, skills, talents, and needs. It also means that you understand that people in society may have different sexual orientations and religious beliefs from your own. So why is diversity important? So basically, our world can become a more stable, peaceful place and can help us advance as a society if there is a greater understanding between people of diverse cultures, beliefs, and experiences. So going back, the term culturally diverse is often used interchangeably with the concept of multiculturalism. Multiculturalism is defined as a system of beliefs and behaviors that recognizes and respects the presence of all diverse groups in an organization or society, that acknowledges and values their sociocultural differences and encourages and enables their continued contribution within an inclusive cultural context which empowers all within the organization or society. So basically, multiculturalism is a state in which each and every one of the society's various racial or cultural groups enjoys equal chances and rights, and none is overlooked or given less significance than the others. In order to achieve numerous levels of cultural diversity, multiculturalism is essential. And understanding a community's diversity fosters cross-cultural trust, respect, and understanding. So, as my concluding statement, let me leave you a quote as Mr. Martin Luther stated that the prosperity of a country depends not on the abundance of its revenues, nor in the strength of its fortifications, nor on the beauty of its public buildings, but it consists the number of its cultivated citizens in its means of education, enlightenment, and character. Therefore, education preserves cultures, certain cultural norms, customs, and beliefs that is ought to be transmitted to the next generation in order to sustain a civilization. Furthermore, one also needs to be conversant with various cultures in order to properly understand one and to be able to reflect on it. So as a result, knowing about the various cultures is becoming increasingly important as we live in a multicultural world. People can become more well-rounded and accepting of other cultures by being acquainted with their customs and civilizations. And that's all. Thank you. Now, I will introduce our next speaker for today. And yeah, let's all welcome Miss Love the Rose Capel.
Good day, I am Labdero Sapel and I will be discussing about the culture and education. So when you hear the word culture and education, what comes to your mind? What is culture? How about education? And what is the connection between the two? And how does the culture affect the education. How about the effects of culture and education? So culture is about our customs, beliefs, learned patterns of perception, values, and behaviors that is shared by a group of people that are dynamic and heterogeneous. While education is about the discipline that is connected with the methods of teaching and learning in schools or school-like environments. Culture is the identification of each individual. Why? Because we were born in different places with different existed culture. By then, culture unites us. We used to hear our parents or some elders telling us how important education is. They also has their golden sayings. Education is the key to success. Also, the only thing that wouldn't steal from you is the education. Our home is not the only place where we can learn about our culture. We can also learn and foster it in schools because it serves as the multiplicity of functions. For us to understand it so well and for us to know the connection of culture to education, we have the four functions of an educational system to culture. So, we have the first one. The first one is it helps fashion an individual. The second one, the primary means by which a culture's history and traditions are passed from generation to generation. The third one, education is the transmission of civilization. And the last one, or the fourth one, it teaches the informal knowledge of a culture. To conclude my discussion, I want to give an inspirational message to my fellow student who's struggling like me in studying. I know this is used a lot of times, but let's not give up. Keep on fighting. Maybe we're experiencing a lot of struggles, sleepless nights, fatigues, failed grades. Nevertheless, look in our main goal. The reason why we are studying. In every hard work, there's always a winning prize for it. Let's appreciate our education just like how we give importance to our culture. That's all. Thank you.
What culture teach? Culture provides a framework for perceiving and interacting with the world. Culture can tell us about our attitudes and behaviors. Culture may teach us about ourselves, that we like, and where we came from. Culture is also beneficial in understanding our values and ways of thinking. Also, it allows us to understand about our background and common behaviors. So, culture and education are inextricably related since you can't have one without the other. Every student in every school is unique and brings something different to the table. As a result, we must recognize that the students are different. We must accept, understand, and discuss our students' culture. We cannot ignore or pretend that student differences do not exist. Just like us here in CNSC, we're from different town of Camarines Norte and we have different values, beliefs, attitudes, accepted actions, and general characteristics. Incorporating cultural practices into the educational curriculum can help to foster this sense of belonging. Some students will respond to a sense of familiarity, while others will respond to the maturity level human urge to know where they came from. Giving students the opportunity to learn about themselves and their culture will ensure that they acquire a strong sense of identity, which will lead to increased self-confidence. Although it may appear that there are too many cultural aspects to understand, merely being aware of cultural settings and attempting to gain greater cultural knowledge as well as greater identity of your own views and cultural lens can help you assess social behaviors. Culture is an important aspect of every learning environment. It is important to be able to understand the impact of culture in any given learning situation and to try to alter that culture as much as possible to enhance the different ways of learning environment that we believe would be the most effective. Modifying a pre-existing dominant culture, on the other hand, is extremely difficult. Nevertheless, new technologies enable the development of new learning environments, providing an opportunity to build the type of culture within that learning environment that will greatly assist the students.
I always wonder what happens when different races are brought together in one place, specifically when they are in one learning classroom. What could happen? Will they understand each other despite of their differences? These questions automatically comes in my mind when I think in this scenario. Nevertheless, when we studied multicultural education in CCC or cross-cultural communication, I understood and enlightened regarding to this topic, which somehow related to my thought and also my questions in my mind answered. I realized that this kind of education seeks to create equal educational opportunities for all students, including those from different racial, ethnic, and social class groups. Multicultural education also values different student cultures and prepares students to thrive in a diverse world. At its core, multicultural education fosters equality, justice, and equity as it establishes the reality of philosophical ideas in classroom environments. This goal is also advocate better opportunities for learning, specifically for those who are marginalized based on the color of their skin or where they come from. The goal of multicultural education is to lead debate and discussion on topics such as educational, economic, and social equity. Moreover, this promotes the understanding of unique cultural and ethnic heritage, promote the development of culturally responsible and responsive curricula, facilitate acquisition of the attitudes, skills, and knowledge to functions in various cultures, and eliminate racism and discrimination in society. On the other hand, multicultural education is creating challenges for educators. Just like in California, the total population does not consist of white Americans but also Latino, African American, and Asians. Schools have to handle a student population whose culturally diversity and language differences are having an impact on traditional education system and creating challenges for teachers, counselors, and administrators that were hardly ever imagined before. This is the advantages of multicultural education, but despite to this, it would be better to pursue this kind of education with respect to each other cultures and maintain equality at all times.
Good day everyone, my name is Trisha May A. Sarmiento, and today we will be having a short discussion about how culture teach us. Marami sa atin ang kulang sa kamalayan kung ano nga ba ang kultura at kung ano nga ba ang pagkakaiba-iba nito. Ang ating mundo ay mayroong malawak na cultural diversity kung saan kinikilala nito ang iba't ibang uri at klase ng kultura depende sa lugar o lipunan na pinagmulan nito. Halimbawa na lamang natin ay ang kultura ng mga Amerikano at ang kultura ng mga Pilipino. Pagdating sa pag-aaral at paghubog ng kaalaman, maaaring ang kultura ng mga Amerikano ay mas gumagamit ng mga teknolohiya upang mas mahubog ang kaalaman ng mga mag-aaral roon. Habang sa kultura naman ng Pinoy ay mas pinili natin or mas nakasanayan na natin ang pagkakaroon or ang paggamit ng mga tradisyonal na material sa pag-aaral upang hubugin ang pagkatao at kaalaman ng mga Pilipinong mag-aaral. Ang kultura ang siyang humuhubog sa ating pagkatao dahil nasasalamin dito ang mga patakaran, mga gawi na ating ginagawa sa pang-araw-araw na atin ng kinasanayan. Ang kultura ay hindi makakaila na maaaring maimpluwensyahan ang ating mga pag-uugali at kilos sa isang lipunan. Subalit, ang kultura ay mahalaga dahil tinuturoan tayo nito kung paano makisama sa iba at kung paano tayo magkakaroon ng magandang interaksyon sa ibang tao at paano natin ibabagay ang ating sarili sa isang lipunan na ating ginagalawan. Yan lamang po at maraming salamat.
Good day everyone, I'm Alisa Vieiro. Today I will discuss about goals of multicultural education. So, let us know what is goals of multicultural education. The first and the most goals of multicultural education is to encourage the values of openness and acceptance toward people belonging in different cultural and ethnic backgrounds. So, multicultural education is focuses on nurturing administration and appreciation about diverse ethnocultural heritage in young minds. Children are invited with greater knowledge and understanding about how to behave in more culturally responsible manner. They acquire skills navigated various cultures. They learning about society, even like racism and discrimination, and how to stave off those. So now, let's proceed the main goal of multicultural education. So, we are living a small world. At no point in our history we had such a quick access to so much information. But this also means it's becoming less and less of virtue every day. Our exposure to people from diverse races, ethnicity, and cultural background has increased exponentially. The multicultural education of young children prepares them to respectfully coexist in this increasingly diverse environment. It plays the vital role in shaping their understanding of the different cultures they encounter. It informs interaction and influences how they perceive cultural diversity. So, how can multicultural education focuses those goals? So, multicultural education focuses the most upon the knowledge inequality that currently exists. This lack of access to education can be attributed to the absence of social justice and equity in our society. For example, the goal of multicultural education is to advocate better opportunities for learning, especially for those who are marginalized based on their color of their skin or where they came from. The goal of multicultural education is to lead debate and discussion on topics such as education, economic, and social equity. It can shape public discourse through advocacy, position papers, policy statement, and other strategies. So now I have 6 goals of multicultural education. First, to ensure that all children have an equal opportunity to develop to their fullest potential. Second, it is not concerned so much with different types of people as it is their world. The third is it must counter cultural claims of superiority and nurture multicultural society that denies racism, ethnocentrism, sexism, and so forth. The fourth is it moves beyond the rhetoric and recognizes that the potential for brilliance is sprinkled for all ethnic groups. The fifth is it seeks to achieve great harmony in a society and would currently beset by intercultural conflict. And the last one, it can help overcome the greatest barrier to achieve persuasive excellence in education.
Hi everyone, I'm Jo Marie Takalan and it's my turn to share my thoughts and opinion about my knowledge from this topic that we choose of our group in this course of cross-cultural communication. Language diversity in the classroom is another problem that at times seems overwhelming. Yes, language diversity may be the one reason that we can encounter problems. Dahil nga sa classroom ay marami tayong ando doon na students na yung mga classmates natin pwedeng meron silang language that it differs to your own language, that it can affect our understanding to each other and to interaction with our classmates, and that's why if we are not in the same use of language inside our classroom, we cannot understand better and we cannot communicate each other. Language diversity is a way to talk about varied types of traits including language, family, grammar, and vocabulary. Through the different language that we have, it is a way on how as individual tell to other people who you are, what you are, because our own language, our different languages will introduce to people your traits, your beings as a person, your family backgrounds, your language on how you will use it, on how your language understand to its meaningful, and how your language as your identity. So language diversity also has a big contribution on how you as an individual person identify your identity, your family, and your culture that you have. In addition, Bell Hooks states that learning to listen to different voices, hearing different speech challenges the nation that we must all assimilate. Bell Hooks wants to tell us that despite of our language differences, we should still capable to understand, listen to their voices of everyone, and to their speech. Because it's a nature or a natural that we people in this world born to many languages. So that's why there is nothing have to do and to change from it, but to understand and learn it. Because this is the only helpful way to keep our relationship become better with everyone and to every nation. Language diversity will not become the burden of understanding everyone. Because language diversity is just only to distinguish and recognize a person for his being that who he is or what he is, and that's culture will start to know. We already know that in this world, not only one language is our use in our life, because not only one language that is all nation use to understand and to communicate someone. Because me as a Filipino, I have my own language, and other people that not a Filipino like me is I know they also have own language that differ from me, because I'm a Filipino and he is not. So there is a different language between us. But despite of it, I know we can still understand each other, I know we can still educate each other, and I know we can help each other to build good relationship. Because I know even there is a language diversity, but there is one language that we are all united so that we can still capable to communicate and understand people. And that's what we call universal language. So there is no problem if we have different language, but if we know how to speak English as a universal language, because English language is a language that most of the world use, that to communicate and understand people, even we are not in the same race, is we can do. To communicate and to understand many people. And remember that in this world we are all diverse, but even we have differences to one another, even there is a cultural diversity and language diversity, we must respect and should always respect each other, because respect will lead to a better communication and understanding of every nation. And that would be all. Thank you.